universe and any of its parallel realms. It's daylight out, and I'm awake. And that combination of things, that bad news means I should really fill myself full of caffeine. Yeah. Don't like being awake when the sun is up. It just doesn't work well for me. What one's it? Rockstar, okay. It goes down good until I start to wake up, and that's when the world feels disturbing. Anyway, I got good news, bad news. Good news! Do you remember that show Andromeda, also known as Gene Roddenberry's Andromeda? Well, I was screwing around with the satellite guide looking into the future last night, just scrolling ahead to see what was on. And I'm glad to say Star Trek Deep Space Nine and Star Trek Enterprise are still on the Space Channel, though tucked away ridiculously early into the morning. Oh well, at least they still have them. But I noticed Andromeda. Andromeda is coming to the Space Channel. They're still going to have one of the Stargates. They're down to just one Stargate, which they'll probably... Actually, they're probably going to air it a little bit less now that Andromeda's on there, because I'm not sure what Andromeda's taking the place of. I do know Stargate SG-1 is still there. So that's good. My eye is itchy. I'm going to get to my point here. Fuck, I'm taking my time. Alright, so Andromeda. I would say there's roughly a month's worth of entertainment per season before you move on to the next season. And so with Andromeda it was 5 seasons, so that should be about 5 months worth of entertainment before you're back to episode 1. And after 5 months, if you enjoyed the first season, then yeah, you're going to look forward to watching season 1 over again 5 months from now. At least that's my opinion. I like to watch stuff over again. So with Andromeda, that's going to give us about 2 months worth of good entertainment and 3 months worth of shit. Yeah. Andromeda was a show that when it first came on, I had a feeling I wasn't going to like it. And I was wrong. And then I was right. Back in the year 2000, which always seemed to be a while back, but doesn't seem as far back as it actually should. God damn, time goes by weird. Back in the year 2000, this is 2017, 17 fucking years ago! Fuck! Back in the year 2000, Andromeda came on, and I watched it. A couple of my friends, I think one person I knew from when I went to high school in Sheet Harbor and hung around with, continuously later on in life, I think he had said he had made positive predictions about it, and a friend of mine who lived down here, he had said good things about it after he saw the first episode, and I just didn't get a good vibe for it. I kind of like in the first 2-part episode, which would actually be the second episode, part 2, they kind of set off some bombs on a black hole that could warp gravity. I just thought it was kind of cool that they created a white hole temporarily. I just find those science fiction concepts interesting. White hole. Think of it as like a mini Big Bang, except instead of being a universe-wide event that begins the universe, it's taking place within a universe. I thought that was kind of interesting. As science fiction concepts go, the gravity-breaking bombs, the bombs that would just nullify gravity, and they called them nova bombs. And when you think about it, you shoot something like that into a star, yeah, that motherfucker would go nova, or something similar to that. That would be some pretty devastating weaponry if you were to fire one of those into a star. Especially considering it can defeat a black hole. It can have an effect on a black hole. That was kind of interesting. But I just thought it was interesting. It was a different take on science fiction. Star Trek, Star Wars, Stargate, and even to a degree Babylon 5. In just about all those, you'll see deflector screens. In Babylon 5, there's less of it, but it's in there. Artificial gravity, hell yeah. A little bit less in Babylon 5 because the Earth forces still rely on rotational sections excuse me, sections in their starships to simulate gravity. The Earth Alliance does, but then later they get gravity technology as well. Particle beam weapons, like all that is a kind of constant throughout those. Each one of those, if you treat it as a parallel universe to the other, Star Trek, Babylon 5, Stargate, did I say Star Trek and Star Wars? All those. They all can work as a parallel universe to each other with similar physics. You could use the blasters in Star Wars to kind of explain the concept of the phase pistols in Star Trek, although phasers are definitely a different technology than either of those. Then there's the phase disruptors and, well, all sorts of parallel technologies. Andromeda was way fucking different. They had artificial gravity. There was no deflector shields. There was no real useful faster-than-light communications. There was no subspace radio. Star Trek has subspace radio. Whirlgate had subspace radio. Babylon 5 had tachyon transmissions, which were special hyperspace particles, which is basically subspace radio. What didn't I mention? Star Trek. Star Wars had subspace radio in the expanded universe. I think they referenced it in the movies at some point. But that's beside the point. They all had like subspace radio or tachyon transmissions. Andromeda had none of that. It relied on courier ships to go into slipstream, their variation of faster than light travel, and then the courier ships would go somewhere else and relay the message. Like, it was just different. And that was kind of interesting. Andromeda had a very different feel to it. The spaceship combat kind of sucked. Normally, if it's Star Trek or Babylon 5 or Stargate, any of them, I'd rather see spaceship combat than people just fighting with weapons. But that said, in Andromeda, they actually had some action scenes with personnel fighting that I actually thought were kind of cool. But on the other hand, the starship combat kind of sucked. The starships were cool, but, you know, I didn't really care to see the ships fighting. I'd rather see them jump into slipstream and zip through their other dimensional passageways that allowed them to travel faster than the speed of light. I guess they were traveling on gravity streams or some fucking thing like that. Andromeda was fucking different. It had an advanced culture, like it had advanced civilizations. It wasn't Earth-centric, none of this geocentric bullshit. There was like advanced alien species, Earth joined up with them. There was genetic engineering, people had embraced genetic engineering in that future. They weren't really speaking contemporary English, but it was translated to us. You know, you got the impression that what they were speaking was not exactly the way you're hearing it. They were speaking a language called Common, which I guess would be kind of like how in Star Wars they're actually speaking Basic or something like that. Which Common was the common language, but it was also the language of the Commonwealth of Planets, which was founded by the Vedrans, an ancient species that other species like the Perseids and the humans eventually joined up with. It was fucking interesting. It was complex. The stories, if you watched an episode, you usually knew what was going on, but you'd see little things that you realized were connected to episodes that happened before it and episodes that happened after it. I'd seen part of like the second episode, which was part of the second part of the two-part episode. I saw little bits of episodes here and there. And I didn't think I was going to like it. And I actually started to love it. It was an awesome show. I watched like a random episode and I realized, well, that's referencing something that happened in an earlier episode. I'm kind of curious. Now I want to see that episode. I'm curious what's going to happen next. And it was like all these little interconnected sub-stories, and it was like this complex and interesting, well thought out world, universe that was being portrayed in that thing. It was legitimately interesting. Everything from the science fiction concepts to the alien worlds to the individual stories themselves. Andromeda was fucking awesome. Excuse me. Then they said, well, you know what? It's a little bit too complicated. You know, we want to bring in the casual viewers. You know, we want to dumb it down so more people can understand it. And they lost one of the writers, the writer who previously worked on Star Trek Deep Space Nine, who had been involved with Star Trek, especially Deep Space Nine. And I thought to myself, well, he left. That's unfortunate, but he left his mark. I think the show is still going to be good. I think it. Well, I didn't think that exactly. I thought it still had a chance of being good. And a lot of people online were like, well, they're going to screw this thing up. And I thought to myself, there's the risk they're going to screw it up, but maybe it'll be okay. Nope. When they did that, it turned to shit. And it didn't just become weak. It became offensively stupid. Season 3 was fucking dumb. Season 2 ended badly, like bad writing. Season 1 was awesome. The season finale for Season 1 was way more fascinating and interesting to me than anything, well, Voyager. Voyager had its series finale around the same fucking time. It did a big plot line where they crippled the Borg, or at least the transwarp hub, and had a big effect on the Borg. And it's like, that was not nearly the attention getter, at least to me and my friends that I've talked to about science fiction on television. We were more impressed by the one episode ending to be continued of Andromeda at the end of that first season. That was a time when Farscape came out around that time, and Farscape was impressing the hell out of me. Andromeda was impressing the hell out of me. I was still loving old repeats of Babylon 5, and Star Trek was actually starting to bore me, because those last 2 seasons where it was just Voyager, fuck that. Voyager was network minutia at its most stereotypical. Could Star Trek get worse than Voyager? Fuck yeah, the new movies by J.J. Abrams make Voyager look like an amazing work of genius. But yeah, Star Trek would get better with Enterprise. Enterprise impressed the fuck right out of me. Voyager did not. The last season of Deep Space Nine was also kind of depressing, I found. Like, Deep Space Nine benefited from the complex stories and interconnected events of the show that just kind of got better and better and better. But at the same time, you take that last season of Deep Space Nine, every individual episode on its own was kind of depressing. I love Deep Space Nine, but that last season was kind of depressing. Though that last season gave me my favorite version of Dax. I really liked Ezri Dax. But I'm off topic again, as I'm trying to talk about Andromeda, which was awesome and turned to shit. Andromeda won me over despite... I was kind of cynical. I was thinking, I didn't think I was actually going to like it that much. I fucking loved it. And season 2 was great as well. It just got better and better, and it was so awesome from the fucking start. Then it turned to complete fucking shit. That little change they made in the writing styles, it was horrible. It was fucking horrible. Season 3 had like this little ongoing theme. There's something going on with the Nietzscheans, which seemed kind of interesting, this little background story going on. It seemed potentially interesting, but it wasn't really that fascinating. The main storytelling became shit. Season 4 was about the same. Season 4 introduced, well, I shouldn't say introduced a new character, but brought a new character onto the... made him a main character, and he was a good character, but the writing was still horrid. Season 5 was different, but shitty. It was still shitty. Was it better or worse than seasons 3 and 4? Maybe actually worse. I don't know. But I remember, it was probably around 2002, I remember going to a flea market and some stores in the Halifax Dartmouth area, which is a 2.5 hour drive to 3 hour drive from here. It always takes 3 hours because stop and use the bathroom at stores and get snacks at stores on the way in, but it's about a 3 hour drive away. I remember I went to the flea market and I went to some stores, and I remember, I think that one day at that point, I bought the DVD. Was that be 2002? Would have had to have been later in the summer of 2002. It was 2002 or 2003, maybe 2004. Because it was after Andromeda had just turned to crap. And they were releasing these DVD sets of it. And I had got the DVD which was 1.1. It was the season 1.1. The point 1 basically meant it was the first of season 1. And I think there was like 1.2 and 1.3. I don't know if it went as far as 1.5 or how many DVD sets they had for that season. There's only like 5 or 6 episodes per set. Or was it more than that? I'm not sure. And I remember thinking, this show really went downhill. I would like to collect. It might have actually been as late as 2005, actually. It might have been actually after the series had ended. Because I remember thinking, I would like to collect this series, but I'm going to stop when the episodes get shitty. And I never really got any more of it because I lost interest in Andromeda. Yeah, it was before the series ended because I remember losing interest in collecting it on DVD. And every now and then I thought, you know what, I'm going to collect Season 1 and Season 2, and then maybe get whatever DVD has the final episode on it just to end it, but it was such a shitty series that I didn't want to bother at all with Seasons 3, 4, and anything 5 other than the very final episode. Like, that was a series that totally turned to shit, but it was one of the best fucking things on television for 2 fucking seasons. So, of writer interference or network interference or producer, whatever level that came from, could have been Kevin Sorbo himself. Yeah, because he's a fucking genius. You know he's a genius when you see him talking about his all-new movie, God's Not Dead. You know, that piece of Christian propaganda bullshit. Kevin Sorbo, fucking jackass. Maybe, because they say he had some influence on the series. So, I don't know really all the levels that the interference came from, but they turned something really awesome into shit. But that said, I might spend an hour screaming about how that show was shit, and how it's going down the tubes, and it started off awesome and it just turned to shit. I could yell about that for an hour. That doesn't change that those first 2 seasons were pretty fucking cool. And they were cool enough to make me kind of apathetically continue to watch the show just to see what happens. So that said, it's coming back to space. I think it's worth checking out if you haven't seen it. I don't know how to recommend it. If you see a random episode, all I can say is don't judge the overall series based on any one individual episode. Seasons 1 and 2 were pretty good. They were fucking awesome, actually. 3, 4, and 5 were shit. That series got crappy real fucking fast. It's like an almost immediate transition point. Season 2 wasn't completely over yet, and Season 2 was fucking great. Right up until that very last bit where it just got confusing and stupid. Like, it was like they just didn't give a fuck. Anyway, if you have managed to stay through this video of me cursing about Andromeda, I recommend checking out Andromeda if you can see it. And I don't know if it's on Netflix or not. Every now and then I go into Netflix. I'm not big on those streaming services. If there's something I really want to see, I'd rather collect it on DVD. And if I'm just going to randomly watch something, I do like TV channels where they're just kind of, you just leave it on and you kind of aim to the channel that's most likely to have stuff on you want to see. I still do that a lot. I'm not big on Netflix, although I do sometimes watch it. If you have any way possible to check out Andromeda, and the Space Channel is a way that you can check it out now, I recommend taking a look at it. It has a lot of entertainment value. It has some great and unique and different science fiction concepts. Do I prefer the physics of Star Trek and Star Wars and Babylon 5 and Stargate, all of which are kind of similar? Do I prefer that science fiction, how those science fiction universes work in their own fictional way? Do I prefer that? Yeah, I do. I actually prefer the physics of Star Trek or Star Wars or Babylon 5 or Stargate over Andromeda. But that said, I like what Andromeda did with its own unique science fiction science. The slipstream for traveling faster than the speed of light, the Nova bombs, the idea that they don't have shields was different and kind of interesting. Just the big fucking starships. It was kind of some weird aspects of the fact that artificial intelligence had trouble navigating slipstream. I always thought that was kind of odd. But yet the human brain organic life forms somehow naturally, intuitively were able to follow the changes and shifts of the weird streams and tunnels in slip space or slipstream or whatever. It was different. It was fucking different. Star Wars required advanced computers to help the ship properly navigate hyperspace. Andromeda? No, you grab the controls and you start controlling it yourself once you're in slipstream to go faster than the speed of light, because the computers were very bad judges of how the slipstream fluctuated. Whatever the fuck went on there. It's been a while since I watched it. But anyway, yeah, it was different. It was weird. It was complex. It was interesting. Strange alien philosophies, different ways of looking at science fiction. I liked it. I enjoyed it. Fuck yeah. Yeah. It's awesome. Yeah. It's awesome, but it's horrible. Season 3 was horrible. 4 and 5 were, I think, even worse. It's hard to judge. But yeah, check it out. I recommend checking it out. And really, I'm just rambling and screaming at this point. This is just a random thought here. Did you ever, like, you're driving a vehicle and you just want to... One on the left, phasers, and that one, quantum torpedoes. You might jokingly reference, like, you're flying a shuttlecraft or something like that. Or a starship. You know, you compare your vehicle to something in science fiction. I remember driving down the highway, referring to it as the concrete slipstream. It's kind of a reference to the slipstream of Andromeda that they used for faster than light travel. Need more caffeine. It goes down good until I start to wake up, and that's when the world feels disturbing.